The first tip is the storytelling formula. This is the easiest way to tell a great story. In the past, I've talked about the importance of storytelling, but I've barely scratched the surface. I know how some beginner YouTubers can feel overwhelmed by storytelling. Where do you even start? But today, I want to break it down into simple, fun, and practical steps that everyone can follow. And the best part? You'll get easy exercises and even a couple of storytelling games to help you improve right away. Let's make your videos more engaging without overcomplicating it.
A foggy morning river scene may be beautiful, but a clear and to-the-point speech is what makes a presentation truly impactful. So let's learn to speak powerfully.
Hi there, I'm Marie-Josée from Powerful Communication. Today I'm going to give you some effective tips on how to tell stories in front of a camera so that you can look and feel like a star. You'll see it's a lot easier than you might think. But before we start, if you think this video is helpful to you, please consider giving me a like or sharing the video with your friends and colleagues, and also please consider subscribing to my channel because it really helps me. Okay, so let's start. The first tip is the storytelling formula. This is the easiest way to tell a great story. First, you expose a problem. Then you talk about the struggles you had to go through. And at the end, you talk about the solution that helped you overcome this problem. Here's how it works. You start with the problem. So it might be, at first, I was so nervous speaking in front of a camera. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to stand. I didn't know anything about it. And then, number 2, you talk about the struggle. I kept erasing and restarting my videos over and over because I was never satisfied with the result. I thought I looked horrible. I thought I spoke terribly. I thought I kept making mistakes, and I really didn't like the way I looked on camera. I felt like such an incompetent. And then point number 3, you give the solution. Then I discovered something that really helped me overcome my problems. I did this or I did that, and that really was effective. And today, I'd like to talk to you about how you can overcome this problem too. Here's an exercise you can try to practice storytelling. Try writing a short story with this formula. Think of something small from your life. Maybe it's the time you forgot your lines, or you talk about the first time you filmed your first video. It can be anything you feel comfortable talking about. Just keep it short and simple. Practice off camera as often as you need to. Remember, the more you practice, the better you will get at it. Tip number 2 is show. Don't just tell them. This is a mistake that many beginner YouTubers make. They just tell a story instead of painting a picture. So instead of saying, I was so nervous before my first video, here's what you can say. My voice was trembling. I could barely get a word out. My hands were shaking, and I felt cold sweat forming on my forehead. Here's an exercise you can try to practice this. Take a simple sentence and make it more vivid. For example, I was tired could become, my eyelids were so heavy I could barely keep my eyes open. I kept yawning every 2 or 3 seconds. Here's another one. I was excited. That's good. But here's what you can say. I kept bouncing in my chair. I just couldn't wait to go to the party. Now you try. You could say, I was so sad, or I was angry. I was scared. So how would you embellish those phrases, simple phrases? How would you make it so vivid that it fires up your audience's imagination? This is your goal. You can also practice with simple stories or things that happen in your day. It doesn't have to be extraordinary, but with your words, you can practice and try and make it extraordinary by adding more emotion. Tip number 3 is the story swap game. This is a fun game to improve your storytelling skills. First, just write down 5 or 6 random topics. It can be anything. For example, it could be the time that you confused a stranger for somebody that you knew, or the time you made a funny mistake, or just the time that you got lost. Then start telling a 1-minute story. It doesn't matter if it's silly. As a matter of fact, the sillier the better, especially if you're playing this game with a few of your friends. You'll probably have a great time doing it. To make it more challenging, You repeat the game, this time add adjectives and adverbs to make your stories come alive. If you can't play with many friends, record yourself with your smartphone or a camera. The goal here is to think fast and get comfortable telling stories. Tip number 4 is use your voice for drama. You see, even the best stories can fall flat if you use a monotone voice. So let's practice using vocal variety. Try this. Slow down when you talk about a suspenseful moment. For example, and then I heard a noise. It grew louder and louder with each passing second. My heart was racing as I tried to identify the source. Speed up during action scenes. For example, I ran, jumped over the couch, grabbed my phone. The door burst open, and I barely had time to duck as a vase shattered against the wall. Use emotions. I was so embarrassed. I wanted to disappear. My face turned bright red as I could feel everyone's gaze on me. I just wanted to melt away. So you see the difference. Here's another exercise you can try to improve your skills. Take a short story and record yourself. Do it twice. The story can be taken from a children's story, which is a good place to choose because those books are full of actions, full of easy vocabulary, and they're pretty easy to remember. The idea here is not for you to memorize the story, just paraphrase it. Besides, you only need to talk for just a few moments. So the first time you record yourself with a monotone voice. That's the boring version. And then you record yourself again. This time, use vocal variety. That would be the exciting version. When you listen to the recording, which version do you think is best? Chances are, I think you'll choose the second version. The final game is the 2-minute story. This last game is perfect for beginners. Pick a simple story from your life, maybe a funny story or an embarrassing moment. Then set a timer for 2 minutes and try to tell the story within that time frame. Don't overthink it, just talk naturally. This will help you practice short, engaging storytelling, which is perfect for YouTube. But what if after you tried all those tips, you tell me, yeah, but Marie, I still don't have any interesting stories to tell. What do I do? Well, you can choose a story from a friend or a loved one, an uncle who is very good at telling stories. For example, you can use their story, or you can use a famous person's story. Just make sure you give them recognition, unless it's a universal story that does not really need recognition. You can also use anecdotes, sayings, or even the qualities of specific animals to craft your message. For example, if I were to tell you a story about courage and resilience, I would give you the example of the bisons. Why? Well, because the bisons will instinctively rush through storms instead of running away from them. This means that the struggle they have to go through will be much shorter and the amount of energy spent will be reduced. Whereas a bunch of cows trying to save themselves will try to run away from the storms as fast as they can. But what will happen is that they will get so exhausted that some of them, probably a lot of them, will perish in the long run. So the idea here is to face your challenges so that you can grow but overcome them as soon as possible. If you keep on running away from your challenges and your problems, you will become exhausted. In our life, we all have storms that we need to go through. And the more we run away from them, the more exhausted we become. And the longer our struggles and challenges last. So the moral of the story here is that we need to face our challenges with courage. The better, the faster, and the stronger we will become. So there you have it. These are some fun and easy ways to improve your storytelling skills. Here's a quick recap. Use the storytelling formula with the problem, struggle, and solution. Show, don't tell. Make your words come alive. Try the story swap game to practice thinking on your feet. Use vocal variety to make stories more engaging. And finally, play the 2-minute story to get comfortable telling short and clear stories. Now it's your turn. Tell me in the comments below which tip or exercise or game was more effective for you. If you want to know how public speaking can really be beneficial for your mental health, click on either one of those videos. And in the comments below, I also have a list of 10 different fears if you want to tackle your fear of public speaking. And in the meantime, I'm looking forward to seeing you in my next video. Goodbye.